Good evening, ladies and gents. Hopefully the camera quality is working and you can all hear me. I've checked. I'm not muted. We're starting better, stronger than ever before. Because I'm aiming for a stream where I don't mute myself once and then kind of talk to you. So if we can stop that from happening today, it will have been a good stream. Good evening to Artek, Fearfox, Takara Gord, Ray Shinobury, Stunner, and Mr. E. Good evening, all. Good to see you all. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, so this is going to be the final stream of the year. This is going to be, a stream where we look at 322 and we have a quick look back over what we've achieved this year, or what CIG have achieved this year. And hopefully everything is working all well. Let's pop stream music on for fun. So I hope you've got a little bit of background music, but not overpowering the mic. I also think I've managed to fix the stream to the point where hopefully the camera will work, unless we're in game, because that's where it starts to get a little bit choppy, and I'd start to do all the crazy dancing stuff. But hey, maybe we'll leave that in. Maybe that'll just be a cool effect. AV, good evening, buddy. Hope you're doing well. What's everyone's plans for the festive period? I will be working this week, is the plan. And then I am off to Plymouth, which is my native part of the world, down in the West Country in the UK, so down at the bottom left bit, somewhere down there on the south coast, to spend Christmas with family, which will be nice. But it means that I'm not having to faff around putting my own decorations up, because I'd kind of put them up and then be at work. I've been away this weekend at London with friends, which has been lovely, and I'd end up putting all my decorations up, going to see family, coming back, and then having to put them all back in the box. So I got a wonderful stack of presents, all tied up in a bow from friends this weekend, which was absolutely lovely. So they've gone on the windowsill as my decorations, and that's pretty much that. Kiss, good evening, buddy. Notorious, good to see you, my friend. If no one's seen, in completely unrelated news, the Amidships channel, which I'm trying to add as a friend of the stream, or friend of the channel, but I'm failing because I'm old and technology doesn't do what I want it to do when I want it to do it, and then I get angry and stop trying it. But there's a channel called Amidships. It does Silent Hunter 4 gameplay. The second episode is out. Crazy amount of views on episode 1. Crazy amount of subscribers. Go watch it. It's just really good, done in the kind of feel of an old war movie. It's cool. So Amidships, if I can find the link while I'm talking to you, I will do, and I'll stick it in chat. But it is well worth a watch. Really good production value and all that stuff. Mr. E says he's got work this week, couple Xmas get-togethers, and I got a side job to do before January 12th, so not sure where I'm squeezing it in. The way you say that, the side job, kind of sounds like, you're going to go quietly to the cupboard, open up the case with all the weapons, with silencers, and then quietly go pop someone. I don't know if that's what's happening, but that's how it sounds. And if you want to leave it like that, that's absolutely fine. Very cool. But yeah, lots to look at. I'm just setting up my stream stuff on the right-hand side. As I look at it, not that you need to. I mean, you're never going to be here. You're never going to see what it looks like. So I don't know why I'm telling you where on my screens this is. But yeah, how's everyone's Luminalia stuff going? What do we think of the gifts that they are giving us? Is this a good thing? Are we enjoying it? Is that a residential and commercial painter? Family friend is selling at home. Awesome. So you're helping her out with making it all presentable, mate. Good for you. That's awesome stuff. It's never the wrong thing to help a friend out, and selling and moving can be exceptionally stressful. Or I'm a painter who does his own cleanups. So what you're saying is you've got access to lots of plastic that you can then get rid of. No one's going to be worried if you kind of haul some carpet-shaped packages to the dump and get rid of them. Yeah, no, we're there. Deep cover commercial and residential painter. I'm with you. But yeah, so we've got some Luminalia stuff to look at. And of course, there are a couple of ships kicking about. There's the Casa Rambler, we've got the Santokyai, we've got the Origin X1 series, all of which is very, very exciting. And general patch stuff to talk about too. Also, if you haven't seen it, I've put out a video where not only do I talk about the first half of 2024, like Jared did nicely, I have put everything together that they have said is coming next year, from CitizenCon, from ISC, as much as we can. There's a couple of little titles I didn't use, like the general Gen 12 Vulkan renderer stuff. You know, there's graphical improvements. I don't think I put Blood, Sweat, and Tears in there, but I've got all the character customization stuff. But other than that, it's a great refresh of everything that's coming next year. And the list is so big, I actually had to stop talking at one stage because I felt like it was hurting the pace of the video. So I literally have like a 3-minute montage of just features with a title, so you know what I'm referencing, and the graphics, and next year's looking good. Really, really impressive. I also want to talk about the Reclaimer a little later on, and the changes that have come from the gameplay. So, the last time you saw me, I was slamming Reclaimers into Hammerheads, and it was all a bit fraught. Because I forgot how much of a pig the Reclaimer handles like. It really does not do well. So yeah, we managed to get a proper Reclaimer gameplay thing going on after that. There was a few of us. I believe Avi was there. I was there. We had Edison, I believe. Shadow Girl was there, and we had a great, great time. Mystery sounds dirty. A little bit, yeah. So then, obviously, we had not just a Hammerhead, but a Reclaimer to salvage too, and we made a filthy amount of money. And do you know what? Before that, I said that the changes with the beam thing had hurt my intentions for the Reclaimer. Good evening, Major. Good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. You can't have had that much sleep, mate. You must be exhausted. Hopefully you're watching this from somewhere comfy and warm, all tucked up. I can only hope. But yes, so that might have changed the way I think about the Reclaimer yet again. So I'll talk about that one in just a bit. But yeah, and then if we've got some time at the end, I did actually pick up a CCU to the X1. I think I ended up with the X1 Velocity, I think. So yeah, there we go. Stunner says, I enjoy Luminania and appreciate the gifts. Yep, we'll have a look at those in just a second. It's been a good year. Finally, I don't have that many ships. I have a lot more now, thanks to people at Dalkinobi and people that have been sorting me out with ships. I don't have that many, but I've done really well with skins this year, I feel like, with having the Vulture and stuff like that in the fleet. Picking up some fun skins, and of course that end of, or the best in show, skin, just chef's kiss. Mystery, as long as we don't get any handlebar picks this year, yes, quite. Yes, I mean, because they've got that, they've got what looks like some sort of mini hover quad or whatever thing that they're adding to, that was at the beginning of the video in CitizenCon, haven't they? And they don't, I don't seem to know what that is. A couple people seem to think it's Greycat, a couple of people seem to think it's Drake again. But yeah, we've got that to have a look at as well, which is all very, very cool. So that's his biggest problem with the Reclaimer now is that it needs a second and maybe a third emergency brake. I don't want to talk about it. Yes, it does. Yeah, well, what it just needs, mate, easier than that is just a pilot who's not entirely inept and hasn't bothered with any real flying except when he's by himself, and then who cares if you blow up, because it's just you. No one's there to witness it. And I've taken to crashing large Reclaimers full of people in... Yeah, it's not worked out very well. But yeah. So yeah, make sure you head over on the channel. I'll stick that link up as well. Yes, we did reclaim the Crash Reclaimer. In fact, I think AV had to get his Reclaimer out to kind of rescue us and that sort of, you know, rescue us from my mistake, obviously. But I'm just going to pop a link to the Amidships channel Definitely worth it. If you like your World War One, World War Two stuff, if you like your maritime history, this is definitely worth looking at. Some serious production value in that. So go take a look. It's good. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to switch this across. I have had a little. This is going to sound rude, but this is not how I meant it. I have had a little bit of a fiddle around with settings. So if there's sound or stuff that's not there, it's not because I muted myself, it's because I muted it in the stream box, and I'm frantically trying to remember what's happened. So let's kick over in just a moment. Oh, okay. I can already see a problem. It's okay. I'm going to fix it really quick. It's going to be seamless and no one will notice. Oh, wait. You noticed. Crap. Rescue us from the claim timer. Do you know what? The reclaim timer for the reclaimer didn't hit anywhere near as hard as I was expecting. I was expecting that to slap, and I think it ended up being about 30 minutes before the exploit. So yeah, not bad at all actually. Shinobi says the reclaimer needs the ability to 180 the main thrusters so it can stop better. Yeah, or 180 the ship, just kind of come out and turn around and massive boost the other way, because apparently retro thrusters were not on Aegis's to-do list with the reclaimer at any point ever. Basically, there's like a rat on the front going, trying to slow it down, and that's why I killed us. Definitely wasn't a skill issue. The midship sound is so cool and good. Notorious says, absolutely. It is very, very good. Definitely worth it. Cool. Stikara says, I'm gutted I cannot go to tech to endless login mode. Oh, mate, that's rubbish. Well, hopefully that'll fix. Because, of course, there's some news about Pyro and stuff next year that hopefully, this is weird. Why have I lost part of my arm? Why arm? Why you no arm? There we go. I've got both my arms back now. It's okay. AV's got a possible fix for you, Stikara. So, yeah. Navy ship stopped on a dime. What? I got something for this. So the Type 42 destroyer, instead of the... Stop it with the rude language. The shafts, instead of the shafts having to stop rotating one way like you see in Titanic and then go back the other way, what they did was they just changed the pitch. So your propeller blades are kind of like that, and they would just switch. So you could go from full ahead to full astern, and the Type 42, which is 130 meters long, at full speed, about 29-30 knots, could stop within her own ship length, which is crazy. That is what they call a crash stop. You had to warn everyone. They had to do inspections of the whole shaft line afterwards, because you could stress the hull to the point where, or you could stress the propeller line to the point where you get fractures in it. You could do all sorts of damage to basically what they call the shaft blocks, which is what holds the propeller in place while still allowing it to turn. Yeah, it was not something to be done because you felt like it. Also, everyone eating, wearing all of their food. It wasn't pretty, and no one was happy with the officer watch whenever that happened. AV says, although it's the same thing as live, just with meshing, possibly on the test server platform. Very possibly, yeah. What's really interesting, of course, is that 4.0 will be coming to the preview and that sort of stuff before we get it, hopefully, summer of next year. Although I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think I might slip a little. I think it's probably going to be end of quarter 3, but Scarlet, stop it. AV says, yes, tried the full recopy and no go. Damn, I'm sorry, buddy. Hopefully there'll be a fix, but I don't think there's anything on that I've seen that fixes that at the moment, if what AV says doesn't work. Although I might be wrong, hopefully there will be something, but it might just be that they need to upload a new version, and that'll be that. Judomo, it's all good, mate. I've been regaling people with stories of shafts and crash stops and all sorts of... We've been talking about Navy ships, basically. It's not been as naughty as it sounds, but it's fun to make it sound like it is. So yeah, You are all good, my friend. You're not missing anything much. And then I kind of shamelessly plugged my other video because it's only got a few views so far. I don't know whether I made a mistake at the time I posted it. I don't know whether I'm just hitting the wrong sort of post time, whether it just was a video, whether I was too late. I don't know. But hey, we'll see. We shall see. Awesome. Okie dokie. Well, nautical. Yes, quite. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh God, I pressed one button and now I've broken everything. Ugh, there we go. That's better. If my face has suddenly gone very amber, it's because I've got the Luminalia thing up and they're burning Pico or they're doing something on screen. So, yes, it's very, very kind of weird. But yeah, so that's that. So Luminalia then, gonna give us a little bit more volume. Yeah. Luminalia still doesn't seem to have kind of any missions or game content going with it, but what we have had, of course, as the first gifts. Yeah. So that's where we're up to. Seeing some really rather interesting things. The cookie jar. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing with that. I'm a little bit confused. But yeah, we've had some themed paints for various bits. It'll be interesting to see whether the Reclaimer goes in next. Of course, we've got the Reclaimer salvage stuff as well. But yeah. Also, I've had a Pico turned up. So I don't know if Edison's lurking. Edison, are you lurking in here at all? But yes, I've had a Pico turned up. Unfortunately, the delivery company just decided to throw him outside my front door. And it's not like my house is set back off the pavement. I'm on the public walkway. So yeah, but luckily I spotted him before anyone else did. So yeah, I've got a Pico now. He's over on my bed, so I won't get him, but he's kind of like sat on the headboard with his very, very cool snowboard and helmet and stuff. So yeah, that was cool. In return, I got Edison a game that made me think of him. Let's just leave it at that. And I'll let him tell you whether or not, if he wants to, what game I got him. I'd imagine, based on the game, he won't. But it's one of those Steam games. Yeah. Cookie jar goes in the galley. It doesn't do cookie jar goes in the galley, cookies go in my belly. That's how that works. Shadow Girl says, eventually we have an in-game permanent home. It would be nice to place your cookie jar in it. Absolutely. My cookies bring all the girls to you. No, wait, that's not how the song is it. Oh, well. Okie dokie. Artex says, wish they were all paints. That would have been cool. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, although now I have a newfound love for Pico, obviously, so the jumper's going to stay. But yeah, that's one of those Luminalia mugs that you can leave in the forest to come back 3 months later. It's still there, I guess. Persistent muggage. Stoney says, every time you allow cookies on the RSI website, the cookie jar fills up. I see what you did there. And yet it still doesn't remember me, so those cookies aren't worth a damn. Need baking more. Or less. Or something. Kiss says, cookie jar goes on the dashboard of your Scorpius, of course. It becomes something you can throw as a grenade. It's like a distraction grenade. So you throw it, it smashes, and then everyone runs to pick up the cookies, and you just wipe them out with a grenade afterwards, right? I mean, that sounds, sounds perfectly viable to me. Virtual cookies are akin to virtually delivered luxury. Yeah, it's a bit interesting. I can imagine somewhere, some obscure gaming media outlet is having a bit of an aneurysm over the fact that there are virtual cookies in the game being released as a present. I can imagine they are, quote unquote, losing their poop. Yeah, I just said that. There we go. Right. The tourist says, oh no, what was the oh no one? Shadow Girl says, I wish you could bake you guys some cookies in game. Are we talking about cookies or cookies? Because, like, some of those cookies I can't do because I get, like, random drug tested and stuff, so I can't do those cookies. But I can do the other cookies. I got a story about that. I almost had to report some friends to the police. So friends. I had to report my then at the time girlfriend's friends to the police. Almost. because I was due to go to a Halloween party, they baked some brownies, some of the special brownies with the special stuff in them, and didn't tell anyone until everyone had eaten one. Now, I say luckily, that's clearly not what I meant when they hear the next bit, but my grandfather passed away. And I wasn't there because obviously I was down here with family sorting things out. And it was only afterwards she told me, and she was laughing about it. And I was like, the only way I could have stopped myself getting kicked out of the forces when I had the drugs test that goes, why have you got that in your system, would have been to report them to the police. So I've got the crime reference number. It's not funny. Don't do it. It's, yeah, not good. Yeah, hashtag that one. Skins and guns and armor are always nice. Some of the other stuff might be, but you can't really use the cups and mugs. Not sure on the cookie jar. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess when we get the coffee machines, when we get what's the coffee machine? Star Espresso, whatever tech they're going to put in to allow us to make a coffee. Then I guess then the mug will be really useful. Oh no, in reference to your Steam game you bought for a friend. Oh yes. It was, to be honest, I think he's played about 7 minutes. That's how long it took Edison to be disgusted and turn it off. Lol. Nothing says spreading festive cheer like a good railgun, you know me? Absolutely. Like, you get Christmas cheer, you get Christmas cheer, everybody gets Christmas cheer. It's good. Mystery, you can make decaf cookies for him, the rest of us want the special, but boo. Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, yeah, that works. Stops me getting in trouble, right? With your cup, that is. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. Other than that, funny enough, not really that different. You've got the holiday greetings card. Yes. Yeah, he was disgusted by the game, but somehow also disgusted by the fact he didn't have widescreen to see it in extra high fidelity. So I'll leave that to you guys. And then there's CIG, take on CIG staff and Arena Commander for the chance to win fabulous prizes and be immortalized in the annals of the season as a legendary harbinger of festive violence, whatever that means. But yeah, so very much the similar sort of things that we've been seeing for Luminalia. Again, not a lot of stuff in the game for it, other than, you know, what they've asked us to do, stuff that doesn't make sense in the game itself until you take it out and send it to CIG. So yeah, hopefully we'll start to see some sort of reflection of it more so than, you know, and I'm not suggesting like a World of Warcraft style everywhere gets festive, but also that might be nice just to reflect a little bit. But some sort of reflection of it in game might be cool. Maybe we get new delivery missions based on that sort of stuff. Just something to reflect. I don't know. What do you think? Are there Luminalia contracts you would appreciate in game, or would it all feel a bit derivative? I don't rightly know. But let's have a look. What else have we got out there? Yes, so they've changed the referral bonuses, which is interesting. So normally, if you get a referral during like a festive season or one of the in-game holiday periods, you get a vehicle. For the friendship, the spirit of friendship kind of thing, I got a Steve. Thank you to whoever that was, by the way. Whereas now we get this sort of stuff. So if I'm just going to jump to the other side. So let's do that. There we go, because then you can read all the bonuses and I'm not in the way, which is nice. And hopefully I've still got all the sound sorted. Yes, I have. This is good. Okay, so yeah. So it's interesting. So you get the Avi's armor set, which is the armor set that came with the Talon and the Talon Shrike, all of which is very good. You get a special undersuit. The colours match the suits. You get the backpack, you get the gun, you get a multi-tool with almost all of the attachments. The only one it doesn't seem to come with, because I guess it's got very little utility, is the cutting tool. It doesn't have that, but you don't need it, so I guess that's okay. The LH86 Pathfinder pistol, which has come with the, that's the automatic one, I think. Girl, can you confirm, is that the automatic ballistic pistol? And then you get the combat knife, and you get a paint for the caterpillar. And then that changes colour schemes for your friend who gets it, and they get a skin for the Aurora, I guess, kind of to go along with their starter pack if that's the one they go for. Winner, winner, Tavaran dinner, says Stunner. Yeah, absolutely. I picked up the suit that came, the one that had the purple tinge. I think it came with the talon. The friend doesn't get the salvage attachment. You're kidding. Mining, true hold, tractor beam, healing. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if that's a... Is that a type? No, it's not even in the picture. Why wouldn't you get the... Why wouldn't you get the salvage? Interesting. Anyone know why that is? I'd be interested to see why CIG has gone, oh, you've got a new player who's come in at probably base level. Let's not give them a really easy entry tool into one of our game loops. That seems a bit self-defeating. That's weird. Yes, still the air, it's pistols to the knife, and then, as we say, the Aurora paint. So yeah, it's somewhat interesting. I know a couple of people aren't happy. I saw the info runners aren't particularly chuffed because it's not something you can upgrade, but, you know, I guess the other way of saying this, and this is why gaming is weird sometimes, right? Because we have people say, well, what CIG do is predatory, and arguably giving people a very basic ground vehicle that can be CCU'd is predatory. Because now all you're doing is encouraging people to upgrade that chassis. It's another. That's what I'm doing with my Steve. Mission accomplished with me. I've got another lifetime insurance token that I'm now going to upgrade into another ship. Mission accomplished. By doing this, they're going, hey, you get something for free, and it's not predatory because you can't do any more with it. So, I mean, what? Yeah. So, interesting. Mr. E, I feel like losing your armor right away. No, I don't mean this, dude, but it's just funny. I feel like that's a skill issue. No, you're right, and I know they're working on the way to reclaim the benefits that you have, like the armors and that sort of stuff. Everything that's not a ship, basically, like your festive weapons and anything that you've bought and you own. Maybe this is indication that that's just around the corner, which would be quite cool. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just something that people are going to lose. But hey, they get it back every way, right? So, Shinobi says, a lot of people complaining about the referral, but if you add all the items up, it's still in the same value range. Nice. An LTI token would have been better, but still not completely terrible. Artec, if they get around to giving us pledge gear replacement in game, this referral will be awesome. Yep, 100%. Hopefully they link to these items in the item recovery tool in the hangars. I'm sure they will, in just the same way as the vehicles that you get will be. I'm sure that won't be any different. I think that is very, very likely to come with the freight kiosk that will allow you to get your inventory items in the freight hangar when that update's coming in, and that's coming in the first 6 months of next year at the moment. So, yeah, possibly. Oh, definitely a skill issue, but no new players all suck. You're not wrong, sir. You are not wrong. So, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see that sort of that freight kiosk. Hopefully that's how they do it, so when you can recall it, you can reclaim that stuff as well. Because that would make sense that that's where you do it anyway, because with an ASOP terminal, that's where you reclaim. So that terminal that calls up your gear, that would make sense for that to be the insurance claim. Do you see what I mean? Is that making any sense whatsoever? But hopefully that's it. So yeah, we'll see. Awesome. I'm also not good, but I'm not willing to have bad stuff. No, there's what's the curve? So training we talk about, you've got unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. So it's basically you don't know how bad you are. It's the start. It's just like you don't even know enough about the job to know how bad you are. Then it's like, okay, I know what I got to do now. I know I'm not very good at it, but at least I know what I'm doing. Then you've got the I'm good when I concentrate, not concentrating and then slamming a reclaimer into a hammerhead. And then you've got the I'm just good at it, like I don't know, for example, the Major being able to land us in an MSR at the admin centre at Horizon when all the AA was active and none of us died. Hashtag just saying. The only problem is that we can use that reclaim system to generate special items we can sell to players. I mean, possibly. But I feel like they would deserve it for being able to buy something that isn't in there, that they wouldn't be able to reclaim. So I feel like it would be linked back to what's in your hangar, not what you have on your character, right? So if you lose the armor, if you buy this stuff off someone for some reason off of eBay or whatever, for real cash or in game for money, fine. But then you'd lose it. I don't think the item itself would have it. It'll be like, okay, what have you got in your account? What do you not have anymore? We'll let you reclaim that stuff. So just buying it off someone would just be like, well, that's silly. Why did you buy that? Why would you buy them when you could just kill it and take it? I'm an agent of chaos. Yeah, so what's quite good fun is I've spent this weekend with my friends and their 2-year-old boy. He's almost 3 now. Little lad called Archie, and I've spent all weekend training him because he's kind of got into Batman. So he was doing a nursery rhyme over here. So bar black sheep, have you any wool? Batman. That was what was going on. So I was like, what does Batman say? He was like, Batman. I was like, yeah, but also, where's the trigger? And he was also going, he was mimicking me, which is really cool. So I was like, what does Batman say? Where's the trigger? So yeah, hopefully that keeps up. And if not, there's always the next time I see him to just positively reinforce this behaviour. So yeah, that was quite good fun. Yeah, it's been a good weekend. It's been fun. Yeah, so there's our referral stuff. That's all been good. And then 3.22 itself. So I have EPTU'd the life out of this. I don't normally, but now we've had the game crashing issue fixed. I thought that I would spend a little bit more time on this, just trying stuff out. So EPTU'd the life out of it. The derelict settlements look absolutely great. There's there's not so derelict settlements now that seem to have like a life to them. They've got they've got commodity hubs, they've got the shop terminals, and they only sell basic stuff at the minute. They seem to accept a lot of iron and stuff. Although you can seem to buy, I don't know if you buy or sell, I can't remember which way around it is, but there's recycled composite material, or material composite, that stuff. So they either buy it or they sell it. I can't remember which way round. But there's also missions to go there. And someone in chat spent a lot of time killing lots of people. Who shall remain nameless unless they wish to out themselves. But killed a lot of innocent people. Got some good clothing out of it though, so that's a win. Yeah. I had tons of mine crystal laying around in boxes, waiting to be manually picked up. That's very cool. Like that a lot. I saw a couple of boxes you couldn't interact with, like they turned some medical boxes into seats. There were some of the green weapon crates that you find at Horizon, and they weren't interactable either. But that sort of stuff kicking around, yeah, I mean, you can turn it into Grand Theft Star Citizen. So that's kind of cool. Reworked character hairstyles. Obviously, the most important part of the update is the fact that we can all look like we're coming off a L'Oreal advert now. So that's it. A good update. Jumptown is back out again on the 22nd of December. Lots and lots of PvP. Unfortunately, by this stage, I will be firmly in Plymouth and on a little bit of a detox. I won't be taking my PC with me. I will have my work laptop, just in case I get caught down there. I can still do some work. And obviously my phone and access to Discord and YouTubes and all that sort of stuff. And there will be 1 or 2 videos that I will have prepped and ready to go at the same times that I would stream. So if you are that desperate for me to drone on at you, then, you know, all done. The next one that's coming will be a video about my fleet. and me talking about my ships, the ships that I really enjoy, the ones that I might look at getting sometime in the future, and kind of my philosophy around picking ships. So if that's something you'd enjoy, that'll be out on Sunday next week at 9 o'clock UTC, 9 p.m. UTC. So yeah, definitely look for items laying around instead of just boxes. That's really cool. And I did a short on the Black Kite mission. They seem to be moving much more that way now. Of course, the Black Kite mission is the reclaimer, where you need to go, find a data key, get the data, and then blow the ship to pieces, which is nice and easy now because you can use the self-destruct. Although you need to be quick because it doesn't muck around. You need to very quickly get distance on that ship. But, you know, now there's things like multi-tools and medical guns lying around the crypto key. So rather than going to boxes, they're out on tables. There's even burritos and stuff. Though whether or not you want to eat them, I'll leave up to you. The grenade launcher isn't in a box. It's in a special location with a puzzle to get to it or get away from it, whichever you choose. So yeah. Shinobi says, through limited testing that myself and friends have done, an easy word for toddlers to learn is say hooker. Fun for the whole family. It's also quite fun when they're trying to say one thing and they're saying something else. But I can't remember what he was looking for. I can only remember what he said he was looking for, which made me as a sailor very proud. We're not going to talk about that, but it may be something linked to the anatomy. And I was just like, that's just hilarious, because I don't know what he's saying, but I know what it sounds like. And that, I was just like, my man. So yeah, a little bit of jump town. Personal cargo containers are here. Keep your click close by and be ready for anything. As someone who raids an awful lot of things like bunkers, I'm hoping to be able to put this into the back of various ships that I go bunker ring with. Although I don't know if they're... I suppose the one SCU box may fit in the Pisces CAR, right? So, yeah, there we go. We need a burrito launcher. Yeah, it's gonna turn into Postal too. This we're gonna have some very strange, like the C4 Pico and the C4 Finley. But yeah, Arena Commander. They've got some stuff coming to that as well. So the new map that you can see at the moment, Maker's Point. They've got experimental modes, and then multi-crew. Which is going to be really good, and hopefully, maybe that could be something like the first Friday Night Ops of next year. Maybe we do some multi-crew fun in a Hammerhead. I'll put an announcement up with a lot of time so you guys can know that it's coming, because if that's the case, you know, you guys are more than welcome to join. I've always said this: if you're in Discord, you'll see the Friday Night Ops channel. It's open to everyone with your role, so you'll see that there's a community role. You'll have it. It's a color. It's the blue-colored role. You're more than welcome to come in Friday Night Ops. We can all spawn in together. So there'll be details about how to log in, when to log in, that sort of stuff, and we'll go into Arena Commander. But that might be quite good fun, and we'll give the new mode a test and the embrace the firepower of the Hammerhead. Yeah. Pirate Santokyai, yeah, the X1 and the Cutter Rambler, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. I can't remember whether I've got a tab. No. There we go. So, let's go and have a look. Hopefully we don't have white. Sometimes it flashes white, and I don't need any more excuse to look pasty. But there we go. Look forward to it, Chief. Good. That's encouraging. Okay, so let's have a look at the Rambler. Has anyone picked up the Rambler? I'd be really interested to know if anyone's got it. I will admit, I know not everyone is a fan of Drake, but I had a cutter for no apparent reason. I think a lot of us did in my ASOP. So I picked it up just to fly from A to B, and it's one of those things that I looked at it and went, eh. I can see why people like it. It's not for me. But the more I flew it, the more I've enjoyed it. And that I can say about a lot of ships right now, which is kind of cool. Yeah, says the cargo. What's the yeah for? Talking of Hammerheads, has anyone else tried the risky clear up Hammerhead mission with an SRV? What, just run away with it? I don't know about a burrito launcher, but I'd take a less than lethal impact weapon, beanbag rounds, potato guns. Yeah, I think something like that restraint section of Citizen Con really showed that non-lethal is required. Maybe the Azkataz, the um like the almost the stun sniper. Maybe that has a level where it knocks people out before it kills them. So the first knockdown is like when you do a non-lethal, and then you get the knockout symbol. And then if you want to finish them off, you need to hit them again or something. That would be cool. Stakarago bought a Rambler. What do you make of it, mate? Have you managed to fly it around? What were your thoughts? I'd be interested to know. So you've got the first bit. We made the cutter for you, the people. Designed from the ground up to be tough, versatile, and user-friendly, meaning you can repair it with duct tape, I guess. It's the perfect ship for fledgling pilots looking to find out where they fit into this universe of ours. The Rambler comes factory equipped with yeah, that sort of stuff. It's got a food maker. Ta-da! That's important. Making it perfect for longer engagements and far-flung expeditions. We believe it doesn't matter who you are away from. You're an integral part of the Empire, and now with the cutter, you too can reach the stars. So yeah, that's kind of cool. We need Garmin Humble Burrito Rumble. Jidomo says, "Yep, you can do 1 million credits an hour easy. That's crazy." Um, it's okay, Sister Gargoyle, but a bit bugged. Fuel cap is the same as the other cutters. Right, because it's supposed to have the auxiliary fuel tank, which gives it greater range. So they've got to fix that number. And you'd think that would be easy, right? That'd just be a number to type in on some kind of file somewhere. Just give it that fuel cap instead of that fuel cap. But nice to have more gun racks. Yeah, I can see that 100%. But yeah, some gorgeous looking artwork to go with it. That's just a really, really nice picture. But yeah. Explore the Drake Cutter Rambler. Yeah. I'd have to say that one of the things that I like about the variants that they're doing now is that it's not just like an internal thing. It's not just here's the function that it does. Like the Auroras, right? The Auroras don't have much to choose between them. Whereas this one, they've all got unique engine things, and whilst that's, some people may say, well, great, so what? But actually, in terms of being able to identify them and stuff, that's kind of cool. I do like that sort of thing. And then down to the gallery. So yeah, some really good pictures, some cool planets we still can't travel to. CIG, Gib, some palm trees and whatnot. Yeah, the ability apparently to set yourself a little fire and have a little camping. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be cool to be able to do that and log out in it, just like you could log out in your ship? Set up a little campsite with your ship there and wake up outside, because can confirm, as nice as it is to travel around in a ship and have that as a place to stay, when you've been doing that for months on end, it is also nice to go and stay anywhere else, even if that means waking up on a beach at 5 o'clock in the morning with a hangover. Not that I've ever done that before. Yeah. So, yeah, no DGP today. I've just got I had problems sleeping over the weekend, so I'm trying to behave myself. Wish we could have a campsite and roast marshmallows. Yes, absolutely. Or the grubs. You could roast grubs over the fire. That'd be cool. Then you could have crunchy grubs. But yeah. So yeah, it's a nice looking ship. There's obviously the paint to go with it. War Bond 43. What is it normally? 48. Cool. That explains, once the X1 had gone up in price, why I couldn't upgrade to it, because it'd actually be a downgrade. So yeah, not the grubs then, Shadow Garner. Okay, fair enough. I'm with you. But yeah, not a bad looking ship at all. And I do like the cutters. I think they give a nice kind of well-rounded approach to the game for new starters. A friend, save the grubs for you. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. A friend of mine said that once the game's a little bit more finished, he wants to take another look at it. And you know, my first thought, actually, normally I go to the Aurora as my first thought for a starter ship, but the Cutter starter pack was the first thing I thought of. So maybe I'll get that for him as a Christmas gift or a birthday gift at some point, and then we can do a video where we all get to show him the game and hear once again how jaw-dropped new players get by this game of ours. That'd be cool, right? Awesome. Okie dokie. So, White Flash. That's the White Flash that I mean. That's the one that I don't enjoy. So we got the Color Rambler. What else have we got? Yeah, there we go. So the Origin X1 series. Like I say, I got one of these. There's that White Flash again. I look really anemic now. Thanks for that. But yeah, with this, of course, comes the conversation about bikes losing their shields. So the X1 Force has retained a shield, but most bikes have lost theirs because CIG says it's something that allows us to choose between the bikes that are available. Yeah, welcome to Star Citizen. This is your flying porta potty. There are many like it, but this one is yours. It's so negative just because it's Drake. But yes, yeah, you're not wrong. It does look like a flying porta potty. But that's what I thought, and then I started flying it, and then I really enjoyed it. So, yeah. So, base version, racing version, and then the combat-ish version. Although why quite you would go into combat on a bike, I have no idea. Those turrets on bunkers will make short work of you. I guess like as an against kind of PvE sort of stuff, against that kind of chance encounter that you had no chance of anticipating, yeah, I would get it. But otherwise, just not my thing. But yeah, looking pretty good. You've got the three of them running at 120 pound. I don't know quite what that is in dollars. And then a whole raft of paint. That joke is far funnier when I'm actually talking about the raft. But yeah, a whole bunch of paints there. And then, you know, your standalone ship looking 40 or 38 per war bond. Yeah. I think I've seen something that says when people are wearing a backpack, this patch seems to disappear. Or it might have just been the backpack clipping through. But if you see on each of them, you've got the guy's helmet or the lady's helmet. And then behind them, on the bridge bit that goes over, looks to be a little panel. I don't know whether that's intentional or whether that was just someone's backpack clipping through. But if it was intentional, that's pretty cool that it removes itself when you've got a backpack. Could use it for sneaking into space stations. It's pretty stealthy. Yeah, absolutely. Would it work for... So if you've got a criminal... if you've got a crime stat, could you get out of the back near Korea and use that as a way to get on board without the turrets targeting you? Is that a thing? Feel like this needs some exploration for science. Just saying. Yeah, we'll find out. Cool. So that's the X1, and if we get a chance, we'll have a look at it. Sorry, yes, it does work, or yes, the turrets do target it. The turrets won't target you unless you get super close to them. Oh, that's awesome. So it's like a spotting distance thing. That's cool. That's very cool. And then the Santokyai. So the last time we saw this, it was having a bit of an issue with its cockpit. It didn't pass its review. Then we got the word that it did pass its review and the cockpit was looking pretty cool. Yeah, great. Clicky clicky. I'm clicking and saying yes. Bear with me just 2 seconds. Clink. There we go. Accept. No. Okay. I guess then that's the end of that, right? Is there a way to open image in new tab? Well done, CIG. That works really well. Yeah. again, anyone got the Santokyai? Is this was this a ship that anyone was waiting for? It's got the really cool kind of articulated thrusters, which looks great. The dual vector thrusters that put a POA on the map with the K2L have been reimagined and given the Santokyai the most complete range of motion of any ship available to civilians. So that's cool. 300 meters of those turrets, holy moly! Even I should be able to do that without mucking it up. That'll be cool. Proprietary Xi'an design provides dynamic shield coverage and can absorb more force than most comparably sized units. So again, it looks like kind of it's aiming more for shield defense rather than armor, which is no surprise there. And I love this kind of mantis effect with the weapons, where rather than just coming out on mounts, they're kind of almost like the praying mantis sort of striking idea. That's very cool. And then that cockpit again with all the really cool kind of animations. Excuse me for building the seat and everything else that you jump into as you get in. Very, very cool. Classic Xi'an control screen converted for effortless human use. That's very cool. Yep. You've got your missile launchers reset into the hull, very much in the same way in the Xi'an style that you see on the Sulian, and everything else. Very cool. I picked up the Santokyai with store credit, but I have no intention of keeping it. Interesting. How have you found it? Have you managed to fly it in much combat, Shinobi? Is it fulfilling its role well? Whilst I love the way it lands, it does feel like a little bit over-engineered. Do you see what I mean? And I get that. I get that Xi'an, right? A lot of what Xi'an does is or a lot of Xi'an ships and Xi'an tech is over-engineered. 100% accept that. But yeah, it does feel a little bit like it doesn't need to do quite that much motion. And that might actually be a drawback in a situation where you need to get off the ground quickly and start to fight. Especially if you're changing profile quickly, because you might think you're safely off the ground and then it changes profile and then you clip the ground and then, oh god, it all goes horribly wrong. Well, maybe that's just my skill issue. I don't know. It's a cool ship, says Jidomo, but much like the Sulan, its cross section is a problem. Yeah, I can see that. So you got your factory standard, and then you've got the different paints. The red's cool. The white's cool, but I do like the island or the Yeelan, however you say that. That's kind of cool. Got one in a chain. It's a fun fighter, but they did say the weapons damage is getting cut. It's also bugged because it will fly with no wings or engines. Interesting. Kind of, I guess, new ship privilege, maybe. Yeah. So kind of cool. Yeah, I must admit that whatever it is, the Yilen paint, that one there is really cool on the end of the paint section because you can't see my mouse cursor, of course. But that one bottom right, I'm a big fan. Yeah, great. War bond upgrade to the Santokyai, but you will pay not only fighter tax for it, you'll also pay cool alien ship tax as well. So, yeah, that's that. Yeah, that. Cool. Yeah, so some good-looking ships. Obviously, kind of came in with some of the new armor that was shown off at the end of IAE. So that stuff looking pretty good. Yeah, it's another nice ship. It's really developing that design language around the Xi'an stuff. So yeah, not a bad way to go. And of course, the next one will be evolving the language of the Banu. I'm not a massive fan of the Defender, but I think the BMM will really evolve their language. And then there's the entirely unknown race at the moment, the Cathak. which are in there somewhere, but that's an entirely new alien race and a new direction to go. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that as well. Thank you, YouTube, for messing up my funny writing. Oh yeah, it's always YouTube's fault. Always YouTube's fault. Avi says, maneuvering thrusters and wires shouldn't be enough to escape out mode, though. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. That white flash again. It's just like, ah. And I think that's pretty much all of the news that we've got with where we are at the moment. It looks, from what I understand, 322 is pretty stable, which is always nice. There's potentially part of another week now that we've got, if there are emergent issues, that CIG can get to grips with and try and get rid of the really game-breaking ones before Christmas. Because there's been some times, of course, where this release has been right up against the festive period, and you know, they've bought themselves a little bit of time. And of course, it was barely a month ago, you know, just somewhere between a month and 2 months ago, that we got 321. So they've really powered through stuff. And one of the interesting things, if you watch the AI side of stuff, is there's a lot of replication layer text sitting under this one. You know, because it will obviously affect the AI side of things, because, you know, it would be really bad to be stealthed in, or, you know, to stealth your way into a bunker and be in a corner and consider yourself safe. And then the server has to change for whatever reason. One's dying, it puts you in another one, and all of a sudden you've got 5 guys stood around you. So that replication layer tech needs to take position and, you know, behavior from AI and be able to transfer it across. So that's that. You've experienced a 30k already. That's probably just because you shot up all those civilians at that outpost. I feel like that was the game, delivering karma in the only way it knows how. I'm sorry, that was kind of cruel. But you did massacre them all, so there. Yeah, so that's that. Onto the Reclaimer, I guess, now, and the salvage gameplay. So those that watched last week, and I think that was a lot of the people in this channel, you'll know that I said that the fact that the Reclaimer's claw wasn't physical changed my attitude towards the Reclaimer and made it a little bit less desirable. And though I still really enjoy the look of the Reclaimer and the idea of salvage and that sort of stuff, there was something about the claw. That hasn't changed. You know, be it the being disappointed that it wasn't a claw. I understand a physicalized kind of impact thing. I understand why, and I'm not saying that they should have done it another way. It's just disappointed because that's the way it was sold. However, having played with people, I got killed by a lift Sujudomo. It felt almost nostalgic. Well, yeah. It's like, welcome back to Star Citizen. It's been a while. Have you been killed by an elevator? Dead. So yeah, there's that. Right, I'm going to kill that from going around in colours because that's just weird now. So yeah, having played the salvage gameplay on it, my completely excited now for salvaging the Reclaimer. Yes, the claw, my thoughts on it are this, right? The claw operator doesn't need to be an operator anymore. If you look at, like, the mole or the prospector or anything like that, you're able to, like the vulture, you're able to fulfill that function as the pilot just by switching modes. It feels like now that should be the same thing with the claw operator. And that rather than having to change seats all the time, especially seeing as the arm isn't articulated, that it would be better to just have the claw operator be the pilot, because that frees another crew member up. Because when you get into the gameplay, when you've got your 2 people behind in the scraper / tractor beam seats, they're working between them to move stuff around, to scrape off the hull and all that sort of good stuff. It's worth having 2 people down at the back end, because you've obviously got the cargo hold, and then you've got the salvage hold below. Now the salvage hold's very suitable for weapons and, you know, stuff that doesn't snap to the cargo grid, because there's no cargo grid in there. But the cargo hold's at the bottom, so you can have one player who's calling the boxes out of the right size and passing those boxes to the lift. The player at the lift is arranging them onto the lift, taking them down, and then arranging them in the cargo hold. Because that cargo lift, I was really impressed. The lift on the Reclaimer now has gone from one of the most deadly things in the game to, when you've got those boxes on it, if you seat them properly first, there's no bouncing around. When the lift goes, you know how our knees go and you kind of like end up a little bit off the deck or like compressed, like it's going really fast. Those boxes don't move. There's no bouncing, there's no jiggling, there's no sparks, there's no nothing, right? And we like bounce and we like jiggle. That was a double entendre. But, you know, there's that sort of stuff, right? There's none of it. It doesn't happen on the lift, so the lift is nice and reliable. The only bug that we found was that in the cargo hold, once you had something snapped to the grid, and this is the cargo hold, not where they print the boxes, if you then remove the big boxes, they had a habit of glitching outside the ship, and you'd need to go and get them back, which is a problem if you're moving, obviously. So that's why it's really useful to do that at a time. So its internal storage is 240, the ship's cargo grid storage is 420, so it's useful to have that going, because if you don't have those people emptying the kind of depot inside the ship onto the cargo grid, that takes an awful lot of time afterwards, where you shouldn't be moving whilst you're mucking around on the cargo grid. Otherwise you're just going to be yeeting boxes out and leaving them in space if you're like quanting them back to wherever you're going to sell them, if that makes sense. So one pilot positioning the ship, doing the claw, two doing the scraping and the manipulating of the tractor beams, and then two working down aft is the 5 crew. And that doesn't count the drone gameplay, that doesn't count going outside and, you know, getting all the salvage off and, you know, whatever goods are on board, the components when that comes in. So yeah, I feel like the claw operator just needs to be stopped, right? AV says, I will say I wish the kind of mouth entrance for the elevator was a little taller though. Yeah, it's a little bit of a fiddle to get through. It also doesn't help that they've got those like the slinging cranes, the cables for the hooks. One of those is just in absolutely the wrong place in the mouth. So there's one side of that you can't bring anything through because it just hits that hook, and certain size boxes are too big. So yeah, I get 100% what you say. Shadow Girl says, in the future we can stack more into the ship. Someone filled it to 1100 and could have placed more, except they reached the object limit, so boxes started to disappear. Yeah, big boxes are a bit buggy as well. Yeah, they've got some work to do on that sort of stuff. But just seeing that gameplay, seeing the crew work, and then, you know, the pilot would go and, or, you know, I would jump into the claw operator seat, and I would fracture the ship. And then me and another operator would then jump into the scrapers, move everything around, and then scrape all the RCM off it. Whilst that's happening, your pilot / claw operator have got nothing to do. So they can go outside onto the ship, grabs the cargo off, which is really cool, grab the weapons off if they want to. Like that hammerhead, we nicked a bunch of its size 4s, size 5s, whatever they are, size 4s I think, and brought them back across and earned a pretty penny from that as well. So, you know, you can really see. And then of course when you get bored, you're like, ugh, I don't want to move the mouse around the screen and get the RCM off anymore. I want to go do the salvage stuff. I want to go and do the cargo stuff. So you switch out with someone. So on a ship like that, with all the gameplay mode stuff available, it's going to be so much fun. Because if you get bored with doing one thing, you just switch out and do another. You know, oh, I want to do some drone gameplay now. The other thought with the Reclaimer is, what are they going to do with the crunching deck? Now, a couple of things need to happen there. Or a couple of options for what needs to happen there. That crunching deck is now the one that you see when you're inside the room with the remote terminals, and you look and you can see the big grinders working away. That's pointless, because it's already disintegrated when it's brought into the ship. No longer is that crunching going to be internal, it's done before it enters the ship. So it's like, okay, what do we do with that space? And there's loads of different options. Potentially more, because where that window is, you can now put a bulkhead in the door. So potentially more crew space, because that way, claw operator, 2 tractor beams / scrapers, 2 down aft, drone operator. So there's 6 at least, potentially room for 6 in there, possibly even 7. You've got potential for a medical bay, although I know they're not really going with medical bays on like industrial ships. Maybe it's more cargo space. Maybe it's dedicated storage for fluids, so you can go and siphon fluids onto the reclaimer, and you've got dedicated tanks for that. Maybe they're even like some sort of rack storage, so you can transfer them. They're exactly the same pods on the Starfarer, so you can transfer them straight across. That would be cool. More kind of interoperability between ships. There's so much they could do with that space, but I do feel like they need to do something with it. So there's that. Jodomo says, agree with that. Once the drones come in, you'll need bigger crew otherwise. Yeah, they've also got the because they've got 2 drone operator seats, right? So I don't know how many drones it's going to be able to fly, but there are 2 seats. And that doesn't count any of the turrets. That doesn't count anyone in a seat that has a radar, so they can spot bad guys coming in. Which is a little bit terrifying, right? Avi says, yeah, we'll probably have one of those scrapers swap for a drone operator, depending on what the drones do in the final version. Also wonder what and how often engineering will be needed. Yeah, there's so many roles on it, and I do feel like the 2 scrapers, when you get to the bigger ships, which of course is what the Reclaimer is going to be dealing with primarily, because it's more profit for a really big ship. It's not wasting its time with small ships that probably barely will earn back the cost of what was there. It's also, you know, it's the only ship able to break those big ships apart. So there's a size limit on the Vulture, and it depends where the medium kind of salvage ship is gonna be in terms of what it can break down and what it can't. But it takes a long old time to scrape a hammerhead clean. So I feel like the 2 is really needed, otherwise there's a real bottleneck with the time it takes, because it's also not quick. You still don't get a lot of RCM compared to salvageable materials, the construction materials. So you've got to be very quick with it, because that RCM is obviously more valuable. So yeah. Shinobi says, I have a Vulture, I'm going to hold out and see what the medium salvage ship is before I chain up. The Reclaimer doesn't really interest me. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we'll see where it lands. Domo says it's not a lot easier to solo now than it used to be. What is that, the Reclaimer? I understand it is soloable, but from doing it, it's also massively inefficient. I do wonder about the medium-large salvager, mostly due to the inefficiency of the Reclaimer's interior. Just too many steps to get across the ship, IMO. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I think everything is going to slow down somewhat on how fast you can do stuff. And it's going to need to, right? Like the times we spend in Quantum with some ships, especially the Reclaimer, if you don't upgrade the Quantum drive, like it's a long old time to go anywhere. But once you bring engineering and stuff in it, you know, it's stuff like, okay, well, whilst we're here, oh, okay, so we've got some components damaged, right? So I need you to go and repair this. I need you to go and repair that. Let's get some food on. You know, let's bring up some more supplies because the galley's running a bit low, so we need more bottled water and we need more meals ready to eat and that sort of stuff. So a lot of the gameplay is gonna, I think, go slower. And I think, you know, the way these work, it's going to be very hard to just rush with them because there's so much to do. So it'll be more about being efficient rather than being quick. Firstly, you need to fix the layout path through the ship and fix the layout, then probably just add cargo, either box, component, weapons, or liquids. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with ships having an interesting interior layout. One of the things that's going to be interesting is what they do with the galley, because of course they've said that the vertical docking is not going to happen anymore, which poses a bunch of problems with the Reclaimer because the sides are really chunky with those pods. So it's like, okay, if you're not going to do vertical, how would you do docking with it? but they've said they're not going to do it because the problems of getting AI to traverse like flat to, you've got them walking down this way and then the person down here stood like that. It's how do you get them to meet up? So yeah, that. Um, so that entire space basically can go, which means you could possibly have a passageway go round, just as if you left those doors open. Or maybe that's a storeroom and they keep the same layout. Maybe they rotate that space through 90 degrees. Whatever it is, they've got some stuff. But I don't find personally the layout being that much of a problem. It's a ship, you need to move around it. Um, it's not always it's not always the most efficient thing to move around a ship. Um, because of the necessity of spaces where they need to be co-located in relation to each other, right? Um, so yeah. But if a vulture flew full speed into a hammerhead, it would fracture it. It'd make a mess for sure. It could be a bunch of boring pipes and things which sorts the elements and materials being sucked up. It'd be nice to have that space, but they might want to keep the balance. Possibly, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they just need to do something with it. Um, so they could do all sorts of stuff. I guess what they're planning to do at the moment is they'll have the same SCU boxes will go for the siphoned fuel and stuff, for the siphoned liquids, whereas now they could do something different with that and give it a little bit more space and go, hey, you didn't get physicalized crunching, oops, but here's a little bit of a change. AV says, obviously wouldn't be surprised if the entire reason the living section is that high was the vertical docking. Potentially. But yeah, we'll have to see that. Am I weird now in imagining Gordon Ramsay coming on board for a week, yelling us about the conditions and inefficiency aboard the Reclaimer? He'd definitely do it on an 890, I think, because it's got its whole kitchen space. It's like, what do you mean it's got to go up 3 decks to? It's wrong. It's got to go up 3 decks. Um, for me, it's that I just like having to take 2-hour elevators to get where I want. Um, yeah, I can see that kind of, but also, it could be ladders. It could be, maybe what goes into that space is just a passageway that accesses the elevators directly, um, or accesses like the cargo space or something, so you can do that sort of thing. But yeah. The other thing with space efficiency in terms of interior versus exterior, look at what they're doing with 600i. I want that for a Reclaimer rework. Yeah, I think the problem is for things to be efficient in the. If you look at the ships, they've got the same front to back sort of design, right? Um, and there's only so many ways you can do that whilst being efficient. So to make them feel different, you're going to have designs that aren't that efficient. Um, and at the end of the day, I guess, yeah, it's never been something that I've been fussed about. You take elevators to get somewhere. Um, to me, because I don't have a problem with the amount of time it took to get out of the atmosphere at Horizon, because being able to fly 10,000 kilometers and then just quantum, to me, doesn't feel like the absolute event that getting out of an atmosphere should be, right? If you're able to get out of atmosphere within sort of a minute, like, it's just not an event. It doesn't feel like anything at all. And I feel like getting out of atmosphere for real, I feel like that would be like one of the highlights of the entire trip, that being weightless. So, if you were to do it in real life, that bit out of the atmosphere, the launch, the vertical launch, all that sort of stuff would be a real event. And in this game, it's just so easy. It's the same thing with everything with flying at the moment. It's IFCS, hover, done. Everything else is as quick as you can get there. It's the time it takes to get out of atmosphere. It's the time to get in atmosphere. All that sort of stuff at the moment is I just want to get to the next thing and do it. It's like enjoy the journey, and that sort of stuff. Because you also want to move through sections of your ship for things like spotting the audio and visual cues that will come with something malfunctioning, um, that sort of stuff. The other thing that'll be really interesting to see what they do is they've got the server rooms back in the drone rooms, and whether or not they'll be able to salvage data. And if not, what else are they going to do with those rooms? Because that would be quite cool as well. The flight, I agree, is pretty solid. It's one of the few really feels its weight. Yeah, it's an interesting ship. I still want to see an Origin super high tech hover tank and a 725 corporate battleship. Yeah, just like no weapons, just like lawyers. It just fires lawsuits at other ships and just like clogs them up and stuff. I expect pots to put your champagne glass down next to the turret controls. Yeah, lawsuits engage. The other thing for me is oh sorry, I did say that AV, but yes. Um, yeah, there's certainly like we said with the grinder space, there's certainly uh, things that they can now do on the interior of the reclaimer when they get there. So that's that. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much caught up. Oh, sorry. Yes. They can even add some sort of type separator instead to pull out and consolidate full boxes of metals like iron or titanium, maybe. Yeah, 100%. Maybe be able to have different types of materials because it does feel very interesting that you get to a big ship like, something that's mass produced like Drake, that's going to be full of like duct tape and super glue and hopes and dreams, versus something like Badu Merchantman, to say that they've got the same construction materials in them. So you would expect there to be a range of internal materials, like maybe grades, like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then I don't know, alien or exotic grade. So that'd be cool. Something Tron looking for the tanks. Um, does the does the Tonk not fit that? Sorry, I don't do it intentionally. I don't like the calling it a tonk is just a reflex reaction. It's not done to wind you up. It's just a nice side effect. So, cool. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Reclaimer. I really enjoyed it. If that's the way that multi-crew gameplay is going to go, and then you add in, of course, finding stuff and being told about a battle or finding info about rare halls, tracking down almost like the treasure hunter style, finding that rare Spanish treasure galleon or whatever. So, you've got that sorts of things as well, where it isn't just the hull, it's the cargo that it carries. Um, all that sort of stuff. When you add all of that to the Savage gameplay, and then you add the two bits we've got left, the components, you know, and the hydraulics, sorry, the fluids. And then, of course, drones will be a part of those gameplay loops. So you've kind of got three bits added to it. Whatever data is going to go into those data server rooms, the Reclaimer's looking like a really, really solid multi-crew gameplay ship. And if that's going to be how it's going to be for the Orion and the Odyssey and the Carrack moving forward, this game's going to be a powerhouse. It's really, really impressive. Bring back privateers, says Notorious. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go that far. Your letter of marque, sir. Um, but yeah, excuse me a second while I wet my whistle. Crikey, now we've elevated to swords and jetpacks in chat. It's all going a little bit off the rails. But yeah, very cool. Um, Certainly interesting. So that's part of what we said. 2023 as a whole. What do people think? How was it as a year for Star Citizen? Did what we didn't get make it, or what we're going to get make up for what we didn't get this year? Is that a is that something that kept people ameliorated? Do people find that they played less or more this year? How was it for all of you? Was it the year that you were hoping or not? Question mark. I'm just trying to figure out why I keep getting the. Why is that happening? That's weird. I don't understand. Let's move you that way a bit. Does that still happen? Oh no, I've got woohoo! I've got visibility all the way to the end. Fantastic. and then put myself back in the middle a bit. There we go. What do we think? I mean, for me, sorry, Shadow Girl says this year feels like the beginning of a big upturn. I'm playing more than ever before, but not at the first half of the year. Yeah, it was a bit choppy, wasn't it? A rocky year, says Notorious. Abysmal for most of it, but sitcom with the teams moving to the PU was a redemption. So you'll know my thoughts on this if you've seen the recent video that I did on um, all the features coming next year, everything that they've told us that is coming. But we've had promises before, so why is it that everyone is treating these differently? And that's not a criticism. I'm not trying to shape anyone's thing. I'm just trying to get people to examine it because we've had the Star Citizen will be finished in the next 3 years, and we've had the next year or end of the year.com for Pyro, and all of these things, and all of them, many of them have been proven to be false. Why do people feel like this is different? Is it because, is it opium, or copium, or a mix of both? Is it that Squadron 42 is feature complete, or is it something else? What is it that people are feeling about? Jadomo says 318 was a nightmare. So bad I ended up going back to school and on a broomstick for 3 weeks. Is that a Hogwarts reference? But last 8 weeks have been excellent. Yeah, I feel like the patches have really picked up at the end of this year, gameplay wise, and of course, that's going to be different for me than a lot of you because we finally solved that issue with Star Citizen where it was crashing all the time that I have finally rectified. That means now I can do the gameplay with you guys and not crash out every 20 seconds. It got so bad towards the end that every time, regardless of where I was, I couldn't get from the Habs to the transport without crashing. We've solved it. It's all gone away. We are all good. And of course, that's going to make, for me, the gameplay feel better because I'm not crashing every 20 seconds. So that's going to be different. The difference this time is because we've seen what they've been working on all this time, and it's obvious the level of completion is high. That's a nice way of looking at it, kids. Absolutely. Shinobi says swords, jetpacks, and fast dismount from hoverbikes would be a terrifying tactic for ground assaults. Yeah, just like yeeting off the bike with a jetpack as it's going full pelt, just on the jetpack off. Sangroper, hello, bud. Good morning. Welcome to see it. Welcome in. Thank you for seeing us. You've caught us. We got about 35 minutes left of the stream, and we're just talking about our thoughts about this year and why we think, or why people might or might not feel that the promises made at CitizenCon and at ISC this week about what's coming in the first half of next year. We're talking about why those promises may or may not feel different to ones that have been made in the past. Like Shadowgirl says, by the end of the year, backers will have everything they pledged for and more. That promise obviously was borne out to be false. Why do people feel like these promises might be a little bit more realistic? And Kiss, just before you came in, said the difference this time is because we've seen what they have been working on all this time. It's obvious the level of completion is high. Stunner says, at least for me, I feel I can pick up on the confidence from CIG. Definitely an attitude of we are doing this as opposed to, well, what we would like to do is. Yeah, there's certainly a little bit more confidence about them, and they're a little bit more targeted in what they're saying and how things are going to work. Yeah. So, yeah, for me, I think it's a whole bunch of things. Squadron 42 being feature complete is part of it, certainly. Because not just because of the people they bring over, but because of all the features, as Kiss said, that we've seen work that are working in Squadron 42. They're now porting it over. Now, that might be really easy, might be harder to do because they bring it into multiplayer, so it's got to work in a different way. It might be even that they need to redesign it from the ground up, but they know precisely what they're aiming at. And that goes a long way in game development because if you look at things like, well, I mean, a lot of what they do in terms of the gameplay loops, in terms of server meshing, in terms of all that sort of stuff. They know what they want to achieve, but because they're designing it, they're like, well, we know what the benchmark is, but we don't know precisely how we're going to get it to do it, and therefore we don't know precisely what it's going to be capable of and how it's going to interact with the other systems. So we'll deal with it closer to the time, and that's taking obviously a lot of time. As we've discovered, we are still talking about this game 11, 12 years after its announcement. And we're still playing a very basic version of what they wanted to deliver. One of the interesting things I think we're going to see next year is going to be, if they deliver 2/3 of what they said they're going to deliver next year, it's going to be a really, really good year to be a backer. And I think the other thing that we're likely to see next year is the teams are going to come in, they're going to switch from developing a single player to developing a multiplayer. That's going to take some time to get used to. There'll be new teams formed because some teams will become so big they become unwieldy. There's going to be a period of friction where they all interact. But what we will see is things speed up. And they will then get faster as things become more efficient between the teams. People get more used to it. They train the new guys coming through then, and everyone is used to it. So I think what we're going to see next year is not just a good year for backers, not just content and updates we've been screaming for, like the star map, like cargo, like AI improvements. We're also going to see them start to set a pace that we can expect to deliver. One of the things that I've always said about when people say the release date, and I say unironically, not this side of 2030, people balk, right? But at the moment, I feel like I can back that up, right? If you look at all the gameplay loops that they have left to do, right, like serious bounty hunting, not just going and killing someone, capture, return, all that sort of stuff. You look at data running, you look at exploration and all the forms that needs to take. You look at hacking, you look at boarding, all the multi-cruise ship stuff that needs to come, armor that needs to come, base building, all of that, right? You look at those gameplay loops, for example. Look at any year up to date. What's the maximum number of gameplay loops we've had in? I think it's 3. So what you do is, okay, well, we have no evidence they can do any more than 3 a year. So what we do is we split how many gameplay loops and we go, okay, maximum 3 a year. And that'll tell you how many years you've got left. Now, what we should see from next year, because most of the team is focused on Squadron 42, so it's not a case of you can only do 3 a year. It's a case of with the teams that we have, we can only do 3 a year. We'll see a new pace set, and that will revise how quickly they get stuff done. And I grant you, it's not just about the gameplay loops. They're going to revisit stuff. There's tech that needs to be brought in. There's, optimizations and behaviors that, AI behaviors aren't a gameplay loop. They feed all the gameplay loops. Quanta, a massive piece of technology, nowhere to be seen yet. So that's yet to come in. All of these things need to be brought together. But at the moment, at the pace they're going, I would hang my hat on not this side of 2030, which is a little bit terrifying. But we'll see this new pace start to develop, and that's quite exciting. I've noticed that it's just done ads, so I'm just going to fill the gap so people can skip them, because I have been telling it non-skippable ads. Let me know if it's giving you non-skippable ads. Let me know, because I've been telling it not to do that. It should be maximum 5 seconds. And I know YouTube started doing this really annoying thing where rather than skipping the ad, you just skip into the next ad. It's a pain in the ass. Monster AV says, if I'm honest, seeing server meshing in the current tech preview testing is a significant step, and it gets in and works for me. That's a huge win. Yeah. I'm seriously considering a server meshing video next year, in the same way that I'm considering doing a Quanta video next year. Because from a tech perspective, server meshing is seriously impressive. Crazy impressive, with ramifications for gaming full stop. Just crazy uh, ramifications being rolled out all the time. Again, I always use World of Warcraft as an example because most people have played it. Imagine those dungeons being things you just run into. You don't jump servers. Imagine flying over the battlegrounds and actually seeing the battle happen, as opposed to jumping into another server, for example. There are loads of stuff like that. Server meshing is going to be crazy. The idea that it can go dynamic, it's a coding challenge, probably like very few others at the moment. We're talking some crazy level of tech. Um, but yeah, the ramifications are potentially endless. Probably not with our level of tech at the moment, and certainly not with our level of internet speeds. But if you punt this 10 years down the line and look at people's internet speeds, then we can potentially look at, I don't know, potentially one server for each of the locations. So one European server, one NA server, one Asia server, one Australian server. Because if you just spin up servers for demand around places and you just continually break areas down into smaller chunks and use the servers, there's no reason that can't be supported, theoretically. So that's crazy. Ramifications for computing full stop, says Kiss. That demonstration added tens of billions to the value of CIG. It's really interesting to hear that they were talking about not selling it, because I don't think that's entirely true. I think they're going to be selling it. I think at the moment they're not, because can you imagine them selling their game engine and then someone else releases a game before they do on their own game engine? Imagine the flack CIG would cop for that. But I think once they've got it out, even if it's just the server meshing tech that they're talking about, or the game engine itself, whatever, you know, because maybe the one way they get around mod support, um, and how big and complicated this game is potentially say to Disney, do you want to make a Star Wars game with this? Say to whoever owns Star Trek, do you want to make a Star Trek game with this? We'll license it to you. Yeah, just who wouldn't want to do a Star Wars game where you couldn't do the things that we're doing right now, right? Launching your TIE fighters off of your Star Destroyer, landing on Star Wars planets. Like, can you just imagine if someone were to make a Warhammer 40,000 game using they're using Star Engine, I would literally blow my stack. That would just be, yeah. Between this and a Warhammer 40,000 version of this, Star Titan tech, huge, huge walkers, two-legged war machines that stand 100 meters off the deck with, potentially hundreds of human crew on them. Yeah, sploosh. Um, yeah. Much nice is not being able to escape a consequence because you zoned. Yeah, absolutely. Stargate, Star Wars, 40K, Star Trek. Yeah. Expanse. You take it. Can you imagine Badger? Stop. What's that? Um, yeah, dude. Some people might not have finished yet. Can't believe I just said that on stream. Um, Battlestar Galactica. Take anything you want and look at what Star Engine can do, and then imagine you had hyper detailed from Disney, you had hyper detailed Star Wars interiors. You imagine the idea of demons or tyrannids in a 40K setting. The whole Battlestar Galactica, the pods, extending, flying off the flight decks, the huge flak bursts and stuff. Just what you could achieve would be incredible, absolutely incredible. Peppa Pig, said Notorious. Do you know what? You've nailed it. You absolutely, mate. If they release mod support for this game, I know they said they would, but yeah, yeah. Let's be a little bit sensible about it. If they do release mod support, I fully expect a Peppa Pig mod from you. I don't care if you don't know how to mod. Learn Peppa Pig mod when question mark. Um, CIG would be making the Star Wars games instead of EI, LucasArts, and such. I don't think they'd have the time. I think from what they've said at the moment, and granted this may change, but they've said that Star Citizen is just going to keep getting updates till the day they take it offline. So in very much the same way it is now. So we're just going to get to like tier 73 salvage, tier 98 bounty hunting, where we've got tier 0, tier 1, tier 2 at the moment. They're just going to keep adding and adding and adding. I would imagine if the game run enough, if it runs long enough, even, I think they'll get to the stage where potentially, if you let them, they will keep going to the point where we'll be able to walk around major cities in ArcCorp. We'll be able to walk around Lawville, and significant parts of those cities will be modded in. I'm talking 20 years down the line as a live service game. Not right now, certainly not at launch. But if you keep letting them, they're just going to keep adding, and all of a sudden, the cities will get bigger, and you'll be able to land in the streets, and it'll turn into Blade Runner. And oh my god, yeah, I'm going to struggle sleeping tonight. Might be a good use of the art and design teams when SC is slowed down, so to speak, after launch. Yeah, 100%. You will do it. Good. I'm looking forward to the Peppa Pig mod. I'm worried that Disney is on a downward trend. They likely won't use it to its potential. Possibly, but that's Disney's problem, right? If they license the engine and then screw it up, it's not like they can say, "Oh, the engine wasn't up to it," because it is. Maybe they can add in some martial arts simulator where you use two sticks as arms to pull off maneuvers. I mean, yeah, why not? Um, Chris Roberts will sit upon a throne and will need to sacrifice however many that 100, 1,000. I can't quite see what that is. There you go, 1,000 javelins a day. Tier 122 space combat. Yeah. Can you imagine if we got to the stage where we're talking about the javelin as a mid-sized capital ship? How terrifying would that be? Oh yeah, something mid-tier like the javelin. Don't take one of the big ones. Just get the javelin out. That'll be enough. Yeah, we'll see. Lots of crazy ideas. I know I've kind of got off the deep end with a bit of that, but you'd be mad, wouldn't you, when you've got that game out with an engine with that potential? And if you look at the way that they did the Star Engine demo at the beginning of CitizenCon, like some of the worded some of the features doesn't look like it's a player. It's something directed at a player, right? Because talking about how many bits something is, I don't care. Right, as long as you're doing industry standard. If you're doing off industry standard, so if you're going back to 32 or 16-bit, maybe not. But stating something is 64-bit, that sounds like um, something you'd be doing for other developers as a precursor to selling the engine or licensing the engine. Back in my day, the Javelin was the biggest ship. Bengal's biggest, Javelin's biggest ownable. But can you imagine them saying later on no? Because there's also cruisers and battle cruisers we haven't seen. There's the escort carrier, the Pegasus. We don't know whether that's going to be ownable or not. The Bengal we know for a fact will be something that will effectively be like a permanent dynamic event. So every week there'll be a fight over it, and whoever wins will be able to claim it for that week. It's something like that. That's what they were talking about the last time they mentioned it. But yeah, and then you've of course got the Redemption, which is the whopping great NPC only battleship thing, that huge ship from Squadron, that we're not going to get our hands on. It's like a one of a kind special ship thing. But yeah, it's the really big one. Whenever you see the top down kind of grey box ships as a size comparison, it's always that whopping great big one at the end. But yeah, so plenty of stuff there, I think, to to think about with the engine. As opposed to this, or as aside from this year, the 318, as someone's already mentioned, was an absolute nightmare. And what I kind of the retribution, sorry, the retribution, absolutely, Janome, that's the one. 318 is like a cautionary tale, and I think people need to be aware that that's not the last time that that's going to happen. Right? It'll happen for different reasons, uh, but it's going to happen again. I mean, imagine server meshing. Something happens, it breaks. a one in a million edge case, but it takes all the servers with it. So the game stops responding completely across all the servers affected by this issue. It's going to happen. We're going to have times when we can't log in. It's going to have times where it absolutely busts the servers and people get frustrated. That's going to continue to happen as they bring in new tech, right? Which is why normally it's utter suicide for anyone to. I've said the word now. Um, it's utter commercial um, for anyone to like allow people to access to games this early in its tech development. And yes, I said this early for a game 12 years old, but there's still major tech features as we've just talked about that need to come in. So yeah, they've got a lot of work they need to do. A lot of those things are going to break and break repeatedly. 3.18 will happen again. We need to be prepped for it, and just do whatever we did last time. If you can get in, great. If you can't, go play something else for a while. Don't get frustrated banging your head against the screen trying to get through the same old bugs. Go do something else. Watch CIG. Let CIG see the numbers drop off of people playing because they've really broken it, and then watch them try to not only fix the systems but then recover the player numbers, because that's the best way to deal with that sort of stuff, right? As you vote with your feet. But it's going to happen again. Also, be prepped for it. Don't be surprised when it happens. Be frustrated by all means, but don't be surprised that it happens again. This isn't a case of, oh my god, we've made no progress since 3.18. No, breaking it again means there's progress because it means they're putting something new to break. So yeah, this game will turn out like Baldur's Gate 3. It was bemoaned early in its development, but by the end, smash hit game of the year because it was too open from the start almost. Yeah, 100%. Gamers like there's certain elements of gamers that really kind of confuse me, like the whole CIG engage in predatory practices because they give us all these incentives to go up to concierge level, and then they go higher in the concierge level, and then they give us these LTI ships that are just begging to be upgraded, and then we whinge when they don't give us the LTI ships. You get why that kind of confuses me a little. And so we can have it one or the other. The only difference between an incentive and a reward is whether or not you have it yet. Yeah. So for people who have it, if we were all to say, okay, every backer, for everyone that has a game package by the end of this week, you are going to get this ship LTI. For us, that's a reward. Oh, cool. Well, I've already got a game package. I need to do precisely nothing. Thanks very much, CIG. That's really nice of you. Great Christmas present. For everyone thinking about it, oh, they're just trying to increase their Christmas sales. They're just trying to force more people to buy the game. Force, that's not what force is. But you see what I mean? Yeah. I'm still angry at the people who complain when they allowed the 400i to carry a rock. Yeah. What anyone's doing but a rocking a 400i, that's just blasphemy. But you see what I mean, right? That's the really interesting thing I find sometimes about the gaming community is that we want things one way and then we whinge when it's the other. And it's like you can't have it both ways. My favourite example is the Cyberpunk. Was the oh my god, stop delaying Cyberpunk. It's like the little angry thing. You got the dude stood on the rock. We need to delay Cyberpunk, and then it looks at the crowd and they're all angry. And it's like, oh my god, why? Release now. Blah, 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 blah. And then it cuts down. It's the same picture again, and it's like, we've just released it. It's like, oh my god, why so buggy? Please fix devs why you do this. And it's like you can't have it both ways. You either have a released game and you wait for them to fix it, or you demand they release it in whatever state it's in. You can't have it both ways. Well, I just want them to do it on a release date that, it's great. And when you cook that really big dinner, I want it at precisely the second that you said you'd cook it for, in exactly the state it should be, not whatever state it is. It's just not. It's not a precise science. Game dev isn't a precise science. You either wait for it to be finished, or you have it in whatever state it is and accept all the bugs that come with it. You can't have both ways. But I saw the same people in all of these channels whinging both sides of the argument. CD Projekt Red got threats to end people's lives in their studio when they delayed Cyberpunk the second or third time. Threats. It's a game. Get outside. Touch grass. Craziness. So, it's really interesting to me that we see those sorts of things, and we're going to see the same thing again. We're going to see people whinge when something breaks. Oh my god, this game hasn't got any further on than 318. It was the same bug. It's like, yeah, no, not so much. It's just going to be new stuff being added. And there's always going to be the drama. It's going to be, the like the shields coming off of the bikes. Um, whatever it is, whatever the big drama is this week, and then it'll go away, and people forget that it even happened. This time next year, it'll be meh. The amount of people I saw, bikes, and then I was like, okay, what bike are you complaining about? Oh, well, I don't use them. Great, fantastic. Any reason to whinge? Yeah, bless him, bless him. But yeah, dear. I'm having a little bit of fun with the beard at the minute. So excited the fact they said star beard. So if you watch the video that I've just released, you even get a look at my nose because I come to the camera and show my beard off, and yeah, you get a shot right up into my brain pan. So, but yeah. So I don't think we're gonna have time. But by the time we get into the game and get the X1 out, it's probably gonna be time to draw stumps. But going into next year, I guess we've got just a few minutes. I'm planning out things next year, including people who reply and respond to the video about all the features coming next year that I did. Those that go, no, you're not going to get all this. I'm making a note and I'm sticking it on my diary. And I have screen capped those comments, so even if they go back now and get rid of them, we can revisit it next year and see how far we got. And obviously, if we got most of the features that they said we're going to get, we will ridicule those people. I mean, I'll remove the names, but we'll still ridicule the people. So yeah, because if people feel like it's okay for them to come online and drag up stuff that was said 10 years ago and hold people to it, then I will do it to people who made the comments a year ago, because it's time to start holding people accountable for the stuff that they say. People are going to suddenly start coming across to Star Citizen and be like, I always believe I held the line, and when they really, really didn't. So, I have no problem. They can come and play the game. I don't want them to not play the game. They can come and enjoy themselves. But, that doesn't mean we can't go, wait, weren't you the guy that said this was vaporware? Are you enjoying your vaporware? Is your vaporware good for you, sir? Are you enjoying it, sir? Oh, suit you, sir. That sort of thing. Let's play Shame the Winches. Winches? Winches? Is that what you meant? I don't think you meant winches. Sangroper says, one nice thing we've seen are the changes to the salvage mechanic. Look at how initially you could only unload one box at a time. Now salvage ships have an overflow and internal storage. Yeah, it's really cool. They've taken the feedback that we said about the Vulture, about how it was a bit of a pain in the backside to get two crates, go down, unload them, go back up, go back down, go back up. Because then when you add into that the fact that every so often, if you left it like in salvage mode, you come back and like it wouldn't work, or only one of your scrapers would work. It was like, God, this wasn't taking long enough already. So yeah, absolutely. Same group, the whole go for realize and then bring it back to fun playable. Yeah, 100%. Lol, darn typo system. Yeah, exactly that. Because it's getting a bit frustrating. Because what's really interesting, do it drinkers, start with morphologists. Jared put them on blast on X last week for doom saying, do you know what? Yeah, and he's done that a couple times now. I wasn't really impressed with the video that he did that talked about the changes to PTU. Um, when they, when his title of the video and his thumbnail was 25K. Early access now costs you 25K. It's not what they said. And yes, that's part of it. That's a minute part of it, but there are also 100 other ways to get there. Some of which don't involve money. Like you're grabbing the headlines. You're pandering to the crowd that wants to stamp all over the game. And we've stopped seeing words like vaporware. Has anyone noticed? people have stopped calling it vaporware now. That's gone, and the next thing that's going to start going out, I think, is the tech demo stuff. We're going to slowly stop seeing people calling it a tech demo, and instead people will just focus on the one thing that CIG can't change, which is how long it's spent in development. Because that's the one thing we can't get away from. Is this the game that's been in development for 15 years? Yeah. Yes, it is. That's exactly the game we're talking about. The game to eclipse all other games. Apart from Hello Kitty Island Adventure, obviously, but no one can kind of compete with that titan of industry. Sorry, I'm just reaching. I got my pack of zero sugar cokes. So this, unfortunately, is not alcohol. It's Coke Zero, because living my life. um, Personally, he's great at looking and evaluating ships, but opinions on engine time frames seem a little rough. Admitting an architect and not a programmer developer. Yeah, absolutely. And I've got the military thing, and the one thing that I'm used to is if I'm told to shut up and wait, I will shut up and wait. Not so much now that I've left the forces, but you still every so often I catch myself doing that. Like, wait, why am I accepting this? I just defaulted back to military, yes sir, and that's it. Why am I accepting this nonsense? So yeah, I love Coke Zero Cherry. Very nice. Unfortunately, this is just the bog standard um, Coke Zero, but you're not even getting a sugar high. I know, right? Robbed, completely robbed from start to finish. But yeah. So 2023 was a really interesting year because I think what it did was it showed a lot of people exactly what is up with the game's development. When it has highs, it eclipses everything else around it. When it has lows, they are miserable and rage inducing and draw international attention. And that's Star Citizen in a nutshell, isn't it? We're all here because of the promise it shows, because how much we enjoy it already, and because we can see how much more we're going to enjoy it when these features come in. And then when it goes wrong, we get incredibly frustrated because we can see that promise and we get frustrated by it not living up to it. And that's been a really interesting year. And I'm going to say it's a really good year. This is not what I meant. It's a really good year to use as an example for people who are thinking of backing the game. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't think there is any benefit to hoodwinking people into getting the game. So the very first thing I do when anyone, because a couple of people at work know I do this. Some of them have even appeared in chat a couple of times, which has freaked me out a bit. Because they say things I'm like, wait, how do you know that? This is, oh, you're from work. I get it. And they say, badges should I get? Obviously, don't call me badges, but I'm not giving you my real name. They've said, badges, should I get Star Citizen? My default position is no, absolutely not. And for most of them, they go, oh, okay, great, thanks. I was like, wait until it's released. Okay, yep, great. For those people, they're never going to want to play the game now. For the 2 or 3 that have gone, so why do you play it? Because you can play it now, right? Why should I wait? And then I start to talk about it, and they go, well, why do you play it then if it's that bad? And then I go, well, because when it's good, it's mind blowing. And they go, oh, well, I think that's how I play games anyway. I flip between games, and like, how much is it? 40 quid. Oh, yeah, I can do 40 quid and play it, a couple of weeks, and then go on to something else, and then come back 6 months later, and that's the person where I go, okay, cool. Just don't punch a screen because you fell out of an elevator the 7th time and you've lost all that armor that you just got for your referral bonus, and oops. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, if they use your referral code, there is a benefit. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Or I buy them the game package to get another referral. I was like, use this code. And they go, I don't want it. I was like, tough, it's your Christmas present. Referral, woo! Yeah, that's not how it works. The highest highs and the lowest lows. We're all a gaming adrenaline jump because yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Oh, excuse me a second. Mouth is running dry. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I'm absolutely farming. I'm farming my workplace for referral benefits. Okay, so here's the fun thing. What we have at the moment, the plan is that next week I've got some assessments to do at work, which is going to take me up to about Thursday. I'm going to then head home and spend Christmas with the family, spending with my parents, my sister and her husband, my uncle, and my gran. My gran isn't particularly well at the minute, so it'll be lovely to see her and catch up. Um, and then I'll be coming back during that first week of next year. So there will be no streams for the next 2 weeks. I will, as I say, put out video content definitely next week, and hopefully, if I can get one done for the final week. Although that kind of on New Year's might just be a very short kind of reflection video or something. But yeah, wait for the annual performance review. Shh. Um, or the raging space nerd that will battle through any number of bugs for the authentic feeling of flying his own spaceship. Uh, Dude, yeah, you just defined me in a nutshell. Um, so yeah, no stream 24th, no stream 31st. Hopefully, and I will confirm this the week that I'm back, I'll be around for a Friday night ops on the 5th of January. If not, I will certainly be around for this stream on the 7th of January. If you're, I'm going to sit in Discord for a while just to come down off the stream before I go to bed. So if you're around, you want to come in for a chat, please do so. You'd be more than welcome, of course, as always. But as an aside, if I don't see you before, please take care of yourselves. Enjoy seeing your loved ones if you're able to over Christmas. If you're not, look after yourself. And I hope you all have a great festive period. Please look after yourselves, look after each other, have all the fun in the world. And I will look forward very much to seeing you all in the new year. Lots more content planned, lots more videos, all the good stuff that we have. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.